Alright, yeah, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be jumping into one of my favourite formats. We're going to be playing a little bit of more Brawl, standard Brawl to be specific, and we're going to be playing around with a commander that I imagine is going to be pretty decent. It's going to be Phylath, the World Sculptor. A 6-mana elemental legendary creature, a 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 0/1 green plant ribbon token. It's a, yeah, you see what I did there? For each basic land you control. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to put 4 +1/+1 counters on target plant you control. So, basically, we're Gruul mid-rangey ramp. It's kind of hard to pinpoint which one we actually are. What we're going to do is we're going to get down Phylath as early as possible. We're going to make lots of land drops and make these plants actually huge, because one plant can be a 4/5 off of just one land. So that kind of says a lot about the power level of this card if left untouched. And, you know, the side effect of playing lots of lands is that we ramp quite a lot, and therefore we can play lots of big cards. So we've got a lot of top-end stuff, but let's get into kind of the meat of this deck, shall we? We've got lots of lands. As I mentioned, we have 21 lands and a metric ton of double-faced lands as well. If I can just pick them all out, you'll see how many we actually have in the deck. I'm not really going to go into what they do. All you need to know is that they do enough to be justifiable in the deck on their own, and also they're a land drop as well, so spells being lands is pretty powerful for Phylath. We've got two important ones, the mythic ones. Turn Timber Symbiosis, 7 mana to look at the top 7 cards of your library, put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, and if it's a 3 CMC or less, it actually enters with 3 additional counters on it to make up for it. So I guess at the bare minimum, you're going to get a 6/6 off of Turn Timber, something like that. I guess it could technically be a 4/4 if you get really unlucky. But still, getting to dig through your deck is kind of nice, and again, it's a land if you want it to be. Untapped if you want to pay 3 life. Shatterskull Smashing is a really good way of dividing power. If you've been ramping, you can use this as somewhat of a board wipe. X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, deals twice X damage divided as you choose among them instead. So you can just wipe something off the face of the map later on in the game. Otherwise, it's just nice to kill some X1s, which is surprisingly powerful. There's a reason why in Constructed you play multiples of these in your deck, because you can. Other than that, though, we've got a Landfall Kazandu Mammoth. We got a Fight Spell. We got card recovery as well, in case our big cards get destroyed, things like Great Henge. And we've got a Mana Dock that's also a land as well. So lots and lots of acceleration. Let's talk about our mid-rangey kind of cards, I guess. We've got a few. The top-end kind of mid-rangey card that I really want to play around with today is going to be Ancient Green Warden, a 6-mana 5/7 with reach. It says you can play lands from your graveyard. We do have Fable Passage and Evolving Wilds in the list, which sacrifice themselves. So 2 landfall triggers on their own is really good with the Phylath, and being able to play them out of your graveyard as well with the Green Warden means that we can get 4 triggers from Fable Passages if we've got a Phylath in play, which is an absurd amount of damage. Should probably just win us the game on the spot, judging by the mana cost of Green Warden and the time when you'd be casting it. If you do have Phylath down with some plant tokens on an open board, then playing a Fable Passage from your yard, getting 2 landfall triggers because it doubles them, cracking it, getting a basic, and getting 2 more landfall triggers. That's 16 points of damage off of a Phylath landfall trigger. It's a lot. We also have Great Henge, big mythics like Elgar Gargaroth, one of my favourite M21 cards, actually, because I don't know. It's just nice and simple. This is what I want Standard to be. I want this to be the best card in Standard. That's the power level I'm aiming for. Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. Whenever it attacks or blocks, you make a green beast creature token, gain 3 life, or draw a card. We do have some egregious errors in Magic Gathering design as well in here, which you can't really afford not to play. Things like Questing Beast are in here as well. 19,000 lines of text, which I'm not going to read because I'll fall asleep. Got Gem Razor to kill artifacts and enchantments. Oh, we also missed these 2 as well, Kazul's Fury and Valakut's Awakening. You can imagine with 21 lands and this many potential lands as well. We've got lots of landfall triggers in the deck. We're never really going to struggle. We do have Nahiri's Lithoforming as well, which is a cool card. I'm looking forward to trying this one out while we've got a Phylath in play as well. Nahiri's Lithoforming especially if we combine it with Ancient Green Warden, by the way. That's a combo and a half. Nahiri's lithoforming 2 red and X to sacrifice X lands, and for each land sacrificed this way, you draw a card. And then you may play X additional lands this turn, and lands you control enter the battlefield tapped. So basically, it's a mass card draw spell, but it can also be used to make additional landfall triggers in the late game as well. So if we sack these lands, we draw loads of cards. We're almost guaranteed to draw less lands than we sacrifice. So we are going down on mana whenever we use lithoforming. However, if we have the Green Warden in play, we can play lands from our graveyard, so we can just play the cards that we sacrificed, essentially. So that's a nice little combo that I'm hoping to pull off as well. But if we can make 6 or 7 land drops in the same turn while there's a Phylath out, similar thing to Ancient Green Warden plus Fable Passage, that is going to be an absurd amount of +1/+1 counters, so I really want to see that one go off. Hopefully we can do that today. The rest of the deck, though, is going to be removal. We do have the Ozolith, I suppose, it's worth mentioning. This actually, whenever a creature leaves the battlefield, it gains the counters of that creature dying, so there's only +1/+1 counters in this deck. So Phylath's +4/+4 counters per landfall. If the plant token that gets destroyed leaves the battlefield while Ozolith's on, then all those counters are going to go on the Ozolith, and then we can just replace them onto whatever we want. So we could put them all onto a Questing Beast if we wanted to, or a Gem Razor with Trample. Should be noted, we can mutate the plant token as well with Gem Razor, which means we can turn that 0/1 into a 4/4 reaching Trample plant, and yeah, start sticking the counters on Gem Razor instead. We do also have the Kazandu Mammoth, which is a nice mutate option as well. Turn this Mammoth into a 4/4 landfalling, gets +2/+2 Trampler and Reacher, which is awesome. But yeah, that's about all I'm going to go into with the deck. I think it speaks for itself, really. It's just Gruul mid-range with a landfall style of strategy, really. So if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get to it. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, we're in. We've got a pretty decent hand, so we're going to keep this one, and we're actually up against a pretty interesting commander as well. It's going to be Rodan, aka Radric, Apex of Thunder, Jeskai colors for a 3/3 with flying and first strike. Whenever you mutate it for 4 mana, you can cast a non-creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So, honestly, not a great idea as to what our opponent is going to be up to here. Last time I tried to make a Radric deck, it was based around tokens and, you know, reusing token strategies, so maybe that's what our opponent's doing as well. But yeah, we're going to keep this one. Essentially, we're going to hope that Lotus Cobra carries us mana-wise to an early Phylath. We've got 1 mountain at the moment, but we can get more with the Roiling Regrowth to get our Phylath working. It's not bad of a card, but we are going to go Temple first. Alright, well, you definitely want Fable Passage, because it just combos so well with Lotus Cobra. I don't think we're in a great deal of a rush right now. It's a Jiri's Shelter. Okay. So, let's just see what Lotus Cobra feels like doing. Feels like resolving. I like that. I approve. So, what do we want to do with our next turn? Assuming that Lotus Cobra resolves and stays resolved until our next turn, we can make a fair bit of mana. I think mostly it's going to come down to what our opponent does there, as they actually just choose to Seagate Reborn and pass. So I think we can make Phylath come down next turn. Yeah, we definitely can. As long as Lotus Cobra lives, anyway. So I think we'll just go with Gilded Goose. And we'll drop Ballad Ged Recovery as a land. I believe that shall be the plan. We do miss out on Lotus Cobra value here, but it does mean that Fable Passage comes into play untapped, and it's 2 landfall triggers for Lotus Cobra, so that's our 6 mana and a Phylath for 2 plant tokens. Now, our opponent has done absolutely nothing for several turns, so suggests to me that they're holding counter magic, and we might be running into a board wipe that we've got to be a little bit careful of. That's a mammoth. So, do you do anything useful to me right now? Not particularly. Not particularly. I think they're just waiting for a board wipe. They've got Shatter the Sky mana open, and they've even got 2 mana here for counter magic. I guess we can play around the counter unless you pay 1, because we've got 4 mana now. This will be 5, plus the landfall triggers from Phylath. I think we're going to give it a shot. Let's just do all green. Crack Fable Passage. Grab. You know, with this hand, just more green is fine. Then we got a Phylath. If our opponent does have the Juari Disruption or whatever it's called, we have the Gilded Goose to pay for it. Anything else, we might be in a little bit of trouble. It has resolved. Okay. So we're going to make 2/0/1 plant tokens. Thrill of Possibility did play around the sensor. Juari Disruption hits the yard. Very nice. And yeah, we're just going to pass the turn with our Lotus Cobra, getting in a little bit of damage. Got a lot of counters getting placed on a token. Well, a few tokens maybe. Shatter the Sky will draw as a card. Still haven't quite got used to what's new in the card pool just yet. So it's a little bit of a mystery in certain cases as to what I should be playing around, counter-wise, board wipe-wise, things like that. But I'm sure I'll get there eventually. Okay, so we could do a ram through, kill Mangara, that opens up doing lots of other stuff. So we'll go to fight Mangara. This means I can do an all-attacking kind of swing, which will do a lot of damage. I think we're keeping the Kazul's Fury. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. I really like a lot of what we're seeing here. I think we want to do like a Roiling Regrowth off of Kazul's Fury. Landfall trigger for the Lotus Cobra. 4 counters on a plant. Roiling Regrowth. Get rid of you. Get you and you. Trigger for here. Trigger for here. Make some green. Make some green. And yes, it's a lot of damage. I was thinking probably go for Inscription, put 2 more counters. I actually don't know how much damage we've got here, to be honest. 9, 17, 18, 19 damage. Not too bad. So that would be 21 with the Inscription of Abundance. Seems good. Seems good. Interesting. Let's have a look at this hand. It's mostly keepable. The only problem is with it, it's full of red cards. We don't have any red mana. So we're going to take the free mull on this one. Seems pretty easy to me. Oh, this one's pretty decent. So we kind of hope that our opponent has protection from something that isn't what we've got in hand. That's a kind of a given. Actually, Shatterskull Smashing can basically pick any of the mana costs that Hakdos can't be protected from. So that's pretty good. Alright, we're going to keep this one. So our opponent is playing Hakdos, the Unscarred, a card that I particularly like as a commander. It's usually Boros Control, And the way this works is you've got a 4-mana 6/1, which attacks each combat if able. However, it enters the battlefield, and 2, 3, or 4 is chosen at random, and it has protection from each converted mana cost, except for the one that is chosen. So if it comes down and you pick 2, Scorching Dragonfire can kill him. If it picks 4, Questing Beast can block him. So on and so forth. Let's see. Beloved Princess is not one that I've ever seen in a list like our opponent's. Scavenging Ooze also doesn't seem particularly ideal for us. We've already got the 2 to block Hakdos. You kind of want to keep that in mind when you go up against our opponent's deck, because Hakdos being 6 power, he closes the game out pretty damn quickly. Especially alongside other threats as well. So we're going to go with Gilded Goose. And since we've got 4 mana here and pretty much everything tops out at 4, we're going to keep our spell lands in hand. Okay. Lava Brink Venturer. Gonna pick even, which is a good thing to pick. Free 1 point of life gain for them. So I'm probably just gonna go for the Beanstalk Giant's Fertile Footsteps, most likely. Although, actually no, the way the Questing Beast works, it says that damage can't be prevented, so our opponent might block this and it will die. I might try that. Protection does not matter to Questing Beast, and it's just a pure profit block, so opponent will learn that lesson and never make that mistake again. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, poor opponent. Poor opponent. They didn't read the 786th line of Questing Beast. Combat damage that would be dealt to creatures you control can't be prevented. Yep. Yep. So essentially, Lava Brink, because of protection, it prevents damage, essentially. Can't be blocked, targeted, or dealt damage, which you can't stop me from dealing damage. So I deal the damage, and it dies, which is pretty good. Love it. Love it. Let's go for another game. Okay, we're in, and we look to be in a matchup that I would deem probably kind of bad for us. We're going against Cheval, Bane of Monsters, which is a Golgari commander that looks like Negan, except for it's not Negan, because Negan's actually in the Magic the Gathering universe now. No comment on that. 2 mana 1/3 Death Touch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if your opponents control no permanents with bounty counters on them, put a bounty counter on a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Whenever a permanent or an opponent controls with a bounty counter on it dies, you gain 3 life and you draw a card. Basically what it is removal tribal. So they're going to want to put bounty counters on things they want to kill, and then kill them. It's basically the idea. So next turn, it's usually always Cheval here. You want to just like kind of pick apart. The only reason you wouldn't want to play Cheval down is if you didn't want to put a bounty counter on any of these, which, you know, you can make a good argument for it, but also bolting the bird is a thing, so got to bear that in mind. So we're going to go with Castle Embereth, and we do have Migration Path mana, which I think we're going to take here. Just ramps us up into that Phylath nice and early. And we'll get a forest, and I don't think it really matters. We'll get another forest and a mountain. Send a message. Why? Because we can. Opponent can hit us for 1 though, so it's not technically a good attack. But, you know. Poly K. It's pretty bad for us in all honesty. Pelucranos for 4 mana can fight, so he can start picking apart away at my plant tokens technically. Which I will have plenty of here. We don't have an answer to Cheval when it comes down just yet, but we could do that maybe with the Valakut's Exploration. I would have to top deck though to enable it. That's not necessarily true. I do have Fertile Footsteps to follow as well. So we'll go Phylath. We'll make 4 tokens. We'll play our land drop. Make one a 4/5. Plays around Heartless Act as well, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I think Polukranos is just going to kill my Phylath, and that might be the end of their turn, which is not too bad. It leaves them with a 1/1 essentially, and they've tapped out for the turn, and I've got a 4/5, several 0/1s, and an ever-increasing mana pool to work with. In fact, I think I can just cast Phylath again anyway, with the mana I've got available. So down comes Shovel. And this is where it's really important that we kill that as soon as possible. I mean, it's not really going to hit anything good after Phylath gets killed by Poly-K, but there you go, you got yourself a 1/1. It can still, technically, for 4 mana, kill my 0/1s. Again, though, not really worth it. There's Temple. So, I think we're going to go with Valakut's Exploration. Tapped all kinds of weird there, by the way. No comment. Let's do Scry first, so we can set up what Valakut's going to reveal. We don't want the extra land, so let's bottom that. We got what is effectively an extra land. Alright, well, let's just play it then. And let's see, 6, 7, 8. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 2 mana left over with the Florahedron and the... Actually, 3 mana with the Caryatid, so we could do Phylath into Beanstalk Giants, Fertile Footsteps. I'm going to swing in with my 4/5 here. Does technically take me off of the 3 mana for Caryatid, but it takes a reasonable creature off the board as well. Either Shovel, their engine piece, or Polukranos. So I guess they're debating whether or not they want to block here. I probably wouldn't block if I was them, unless my only removal was like Heartless Act. Just means Shovel will take up their entire turn to replay it now. When I think a 4/5 is pretty reasonable as a removal source. If you just want to put a bounty counter on that, gain 3 life and draw a card after killing it. Seems like decent value to me, but Bun disagrees. They want to save it for more powerful things. Sure won't begrudge them that. And Polukranos goes for the Caryatid kill. Okay. Goodbye, Poly-K. Yeah, I don't know if they're leveraging the value that they should be, in all honesty. Let's play a land. We're not really going to be able to play anything that we see off of here. Solemn. Would have been a nice one, but this is also okay. So we can't play it, so it pings our opponent for 1. Could go for a big Nahiri's Lithoforming. It's a little bit of an RNG fiesta, though, when it comes to the amount of lands we're left over with, but it's a lot of landfall triggers all the same. It's all going to come down to if Phylath lives, because if Phylath is at risk of dying, there's no real point in getting the landfall triggers. Wouldn't say Valakut's Exploration's landfall triggers are really going to be worth it, because this does make them come into play tapped as well, so you can't use the mana that you put back into play. You need a reason for lands entering to matter. Which technically we have, but yeah, our opponent leaving up so much mana is not a good strategy for me here. Okay, so let's make our land drop. Start there, make another 4/5, see what Valakut's Exploration reveals. So I'm going to Colony Ambush, which is a good card indeed. So I think we just want to kill the Kazandu Mammoth. I imagine they don't have like Roiling Regrowth. If they do, might as well get out of the way now. Could use some removal, I suppose, here. Which I'd be fine with. Not going to use the removal here. Now, holding their cards very close to themselves here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Fertile Footsteps. Get another land. Go wider. Chandra, Heart of Fire is a good top deck. Use that to shock the Caryatids. And then go for an all-strike. We've got to be careful, though, because they could have extinction events and things like that. Which is going to be a pretty big blowout in terms of the value that we're left behind, but I think our board state's still just pretty decent. Now you destroy it? Are you out of your mind, opponent? What happened? Look at all the value you gave me. And there's the Shadow's Verdict, yeah. Still, though, the value you gave me was insane. And if you're just gonna scoop, I don't understand. I'm so confused. So confused. It's a pretty underplayed board wipe. I would say it's actually reasonably decent, though. Mana cost 3 or less. I mean, in a slow format like a good standard format would be, this wouldn't necessarily be too brutal, but it's a pretty strong card all the same. It's definitely, obviously, a board wipe that you need. I think if you're playing a black deck, you need board wipes, so you take what you can get, really. If you can't get Damnation, you take Shadow's Verdict. Is what it is. Alright, well, time for another game. Ooh, this is an interesting matchup indeed. This hand is also fine. It's got plenty of ramp in it. It doesn't have any payoff cards, but, you know, our payoff card is just set in the command zone right now, and we'll make plenty of tokens with a hand like this, so we're going to keep it. So our opponent is playing Radric, Heart of Keld, a commander that is both in our deck and could be swapped out for our commander quite easily. You would probably want to make a few little alterations to the deck. Ours is a little bit more focused on landfall. Theirs could be focused a little bit more on the mid-range side of things anyway. I think we're keeping all of our double face cards, since we can actually just cultivate next turn or something like that. We want to ramp into Phylath, essentially. So Heart of Keld is a 3-mana 3/3, and as long as it's their turn, it has first strike. You get to look at the top card of your library at any time and play lands from the top of your library. Klothys is pretty decent, but there's nothing currently in the yard to exploit it. I think we want to go with Cultivate. It thins and it ramps. We'll go with double green here. Put one into play, one into hand. That means we've got our lander up for the next turn, something that Beanstalk Giant would probably reduce the odds of. But anyway, look at the top card of your library at any time, play lands from the top of your library, and then for 6 mana you can turn Radric into a big girl who gets +X, where X is the number of lands you control. So it is a must block threat in the late game. Also can just improve your draws so dramatically as well. And I would dare say our opponent will be throwing it out soon enough. They're going to actually go with Grunk Unleashed there first, to turn that Lotus Cobra into a pretty thick 5/4. Okay. So we got to get something on the board now. I could just go for a Shatter Skull Smashing, though. Shatter Skull Smashing X3 puts Grunk on 2, and then Grunk can only really -2 and kill itself, or it can tick up and basically do nothing for the turn. We also take care of Lotus Cobra. I guess actually no, it's not divided, is it? Well, it is divided, sorry, it's not each. So I would basically give our opponent the opportunity to make one 3/3. I think that's just fine, though. Lotus Cobra is a big problem, especially when it's swinging over as a 5/4 with Trample. Let's just do that. X3. 1 point, 2 points. Why? 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 I'll fix that for you, Arena. Don't you worry. I'll make you look not stupid. It's pretty difficult, but I'll try. Okay, so if we draw a land, we've got Phylath. Phylath should be pretty safe from whatever our opponent wants to do. Most of their removal is going to be fight or burn based, and our 5/5 should be stronger than most things they could put out here, except for maybe Questing Beast would be dealing a decent amount of damage with Death Touch. That would be kind of the problem card, I guess. And Grunk is just going to go and make himself a 3/3. We're still in a really horrible position that frankly saddens me to a great degree. Let's play this tapped. I mean, I think we're just going to go with Fertile Footsteps, grab another land, and then just play the Florahedron, maybe? Let's see, 3, 6 would leave me with 2 mana. I can't really do anything with 2 mana, so actually I'm going to go with Clothis, be more mana efficient. Still kind of need a land drop for Phylath to do something immediately, no matter what. So land off the top. Basically, they just drew a card for the turn off of Radric. That's one way to look at it. And we're taking 9 points of damage, which is a lot. Not too happy with that. There's nowhere to go but up, Grunk. Nowhere to go but up. Oh my god, they've got Questing Beast as well. You can't beat this. Yeah, absolutely. There's no way in hell you could ever beat anything our opponent is doing right now. We're facing down 7 points of damage just on the Questing Beast that we can't really block alone. We can go up to 9, we can make some blockers, and it's just not good enough. So we can do Phylath, we can do Florahedron as a land for a landfall trigger. It gives us something to do at the very least, but it's just not good enough. Drew another card. Radric now in activation and kill you territory, so we've got to be careful about that. Basically, we've got to throw things under the bus for the sake of survival. Yep, 7/7. Trample as well, so it's dealing 6 if I just single block. So I might want to just double block. Again, that's bait. I could actually put my 4/5 in the way, technically, if I wanted to. I can't block 0/1s on Questing Beast, nor would there be much point in me doing that either. But a trade with the Questing Beast... Now we could possibly discuss that being an outcome. I think I'm just going to double block. I think Questing Beast just has to die. Don't tell me you've got more. Wow! We're dead. We're so dead. It's a joke. Everything's a joke. Lol. Thanks, Clothis. Thanks for helping out there. She's like, oh, I'll help. Oh no. Oh wait. Yeah, that was pretty stupid aggression from our opponent. We couldn't keep up with that. I don't know if there's many hands that could. I guess we could match our opponent. We can basically do exactly the same minus Grunk Unleashed with our deck. They didn't really play anything we didn't have, but they just had the better selection of our cards, I guess. So be it. Okay then, we're in. We have a very land-heavy hand, but it's all green and doesn't really do anything, so we're just going to stick the mull button real hard there. This one's got a Gilded Goose into a Clothis. Could be okay. It's actually pretty good against Brockos, our opponent's commander. Otherwise, the hand's relatively mediocre. We're going to keep it, though. So our opponent is playing Brokkos, Apex of Forever, a Sultai commander, 6/6 with Trample, and you may cast Brokkos from your graveyard using Mutate ability. Basically, what it's saying is, all of your creatures, if you would like them to be, are Brokkos, so you can get around the commander tax if you can keep your Brokkos in your graveyard. Fortunately for us, our opponent is very unlikely to be able to keep their Brokkos in their graveyard, because we can have Klothys to go and exile it. We're in no rush to go do that now, though. We'll just go with the Castle Gear and Brig into Lotus Cobra, and it's very important to send a message. There's not much chance of winning the game if you don't 0-2 your opponent at the earliest possible opportunity. Trumpeting Gnar. So it's actually just kind of a Sultai Mutate list, which is quite interesting. So I think we're just going to go with the Temple of Abandon here, because it is a tap land, but Lotus Cobra can make the red for Klothys. Hello. Kind of want you. You can get destroyed in so many different ways, though. Gem Razor is the one that comes to mind, but I don't think you can really pass up a Great Henge when it's offered to you like this. Let's make some red mana. And dump Klothys onto the board. Pass the turn. So Trumpeting Gnar can mutate and make a 3/3 beast when it does. Gem Razor only takes care of a food token here. At least they know that. We could have targeted the Klothys, which has Indestructible, and failed. It's actually a potential play that they had available to them. But now it's just in my best interest to murder the Gem Razor with my Lotus Cobra, I guess. Right? Or would it be more interesting to do Terror of the Peaks? It would actually make Klothys... That needs 7. It'd be up at 6. Just to take an extra little hit? No, you probably don't, because then Brokkos can come down. So let's just do X4. Lotus Cobra fights Gem Razor. There we go. And they'll trade their token. We don't want to trade. We'd much rather get our big boys into play first. They've got Lotus Cobra of their own. Land dropped makes 4 mana. 4 mana opens up a fair few mutate options. We've got rid of some decent ones, though. Each opponent discards a card. That's kind of rough. I won't lie, I'm not a big fan of that one. They're opening to the big bat as well, down the line as well. We'll get rid of Return of the Wild Speaker. I'm going to hope that Great Henge, now that Gem Razor is gone, can stick around and gain us some life, gain us some card advantage. That's a horrible draw. Alright, let's just get rid of Gem Razor. So I could do an X2 Nahiri's Lithoforming. Potentially screw myself over into an unreturnable position where we cannot do anything at any point. I think we're just going to make a food token. We're just going to pass. Our hand's horrible, but we can dump Lithoforming if Cavern Whisperer mutates again, which, I mean, it can. They've got Brokkos, so... Scoot Swarm instead. And a land drop. It needs 7, right? 6 or more lands. Oh dear. That is no doubt a problem. Got one in our deck. We just need lands. That's all we really need. Lands would be fantastic here. Take 4. It's technically a land. Alright, Trumpeting Gnar. Gone. So I can play Terror of the Peaks. Guess I'll do it off of the Kazandu Valley. Ooh, what about a Phylath, actually? Terror is about the same power and toughness, so it's kind of hard to say which one it should be. I'm going to go with Terror, though, because I'm going to need to clean up the Scoot Swarms as best I can. And it also makes our opponent pay life in order to destroy it, which is very little in terms of actual advantage, but still. Arcane Signet. And mutates the Cavern Whisperer, which will make me discard this Lithoforming. And they're going to get in. I think I take this one for now. Mostly because it turns off my Great Henge if I don't. Oh, baby. That's a thing. Let's get rid of Lithoforming, I suppose. So we go the Great Henge. Activate our Clothis. We've got Scoot Swarm to kill Scoot Swarm. Drew a land, which makes a Scoot Swarm to kill the other Scoot Swarm. Now this is Magic the Gathering. It doesn't really matter, except for to create a food token, I guess. So it sort of matters. And I think we're just swinging. I don't know if Bioquart Space Godzilla can really get powerful enough for it to matter. But we still have blockers back in case it does matter. Alright. So we were a little worried about Scoot Swarm. And now I would say that we're not very worried. Actually, just going to make a creature out of the Sea Dasher for card draw. It almost made sense up until the point where they exploded. Yeah, I don't know what you do there, actually, because you can't really afford to attack, so you are blocking. So I guess there's not really a reason to mutate onto the Bioquart Space Godzilla, or Brockos. Since we have no cards in hand, the other mutation wouldn't really do anything. So, yeah, that makes sense. I guess the card that they drew was just not good enough. It's probably a land. And they assumed a landfall deck like my own would probably make landfall triggers for Scoot Swarming, which is definitely a correct assumption to make. In fact, we go with Phylath next turn. We make 3 plant tokens, draw a card off of Phylath entering. If we draw a land, we'd just absolutely explode with value, and there's just no coming back from it. In fact, Phylath comes down, pings for 5, kills the Sea Dasher Octopus. Land coming into play makes a 1/1. Terror of the Peaks kills Lotus Cobra. They've got 1 blocker. And then they block here, take 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Almost enough for lethal. Not quite, of course, but almost enough. In fact, I guess there's a possibility that we could actually point some of the damage at our opponent's face for lethal as well. So, yeah, I guess that works. Alright guys, well that is going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And without further ado, going to end it off for today. Take care guys, have a good night.